Now, you don't have to agree. you don't have to say that I am understanding what you're saying, Leela, and I agree 100%. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to hear me out. I want you to hear me out. Because there are so many people who are chasing perfection that they are now stuck. Labron, I am the Human Capital Midwife. I am your Human Capital Consultant. And today I want to have another candid conversation. Now, today's conversation is about whether or not we identify having the opportunity to practice a thing and whether or not that thing makes you and I perfect. There is a saying that practice makes perfect. Whoever came up with this saying that practice makes perfect has so many people down through the years repeating it, that practice makes perfect. But that is a misnomer. That is something that is actually not true. I have had several of my clients say, you know what, Leela, what I am struggling with is I feel as if I have to do everything perfect. When we are chasing perfection, when we are going after having a particular item or having a particular objective or having a particular goal be measured by the standard of perfection, we who are perfectionists, we tend to not get anything done. We tend to hold back on allowing a thing to be released, allowing a project to be released, allowing the abilities that we have on the inside to be released because we feel as if it has to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, then we cannot place it into the world. Well, I say, and this is what I stand flat-footed on, I say that what we should be striving for is proficiency. What we all should be striving for is the highest level of proficiency that we can muster. Now, you don't have to agree. you don't have to say that I am understanding what you're saying, Leela, and I agree 100%. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to hear me out. I want you to hear me out. Because there are so many people who are chasing perfection that they are now stuck. They're chasing perfection and they're not getting things done. They're chasing perfection and they have found themselves spinning their wheels, so to speak, and they're not moving. Because with the idea that with practice, it becomes quote unquote perfect, that you and I have resulted to the underlining meaning to mean that if it's not perfect, then I must have messed up. If I'm not perfect, then I must have faltered along the way. This is what I say. I say that practice does not make a person perfect. But practice does make a person proficient. And at the highest level of proficiency, some may deem it as perfection. Let me repeat that. The highest level of proficiency, some people may deem that as perfection, right? And based off of who's gazing, based off of whose subjective viewpoint we're looking at or analyzing or listening to, we may say that yes, that's perfection. Let me give you an example. Now, I don't know a whole lot about sports, but I know just a tad bit because my husband is a sports fanatic. So we got Stephen Curry, 3-point boop, boop, boop. He can knock them 3 points in the basket, right? Some would say he is because of his practice, and he has the ability. Practice makes perfect, right? So he might have the ability to be perfect at what he does. I would suggest that he has the ability to be proficient at what he does. And he may have reached the highest level of proficiency for him. Now let's talk about Serena. She got that backhand. Is that backhand? She got that forehand. And she's the GOAT. Her sister, GOAT. Venus, Serena, GOATs. But I dare to say that they are not perfect. I dare to say that they have reached the highest level of proficiency that they could reach in the highest place where they could reach it. Right? And then you can put Labron in the mix. Some would say that he's the GOAT. And then some would say that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Regardless to who you believe is the GOAT, the highest level of proficiency that they were able to achieve, for many of us, we would say it was perfection. But I would dare to say that they would say that it was the highest level of proficiency. Because when they analyzed their life, they know that there were areas that they could have improved in. Just like us. Regardless to what we do and how magnificent we are and how glorious we are and how wonderful we are, there are areas in our lives when it comes to our personal craft, when it comes to our objectives and goals and dreams, when it comes to whatever we place our hands in, that we have areas where we can continue to grow, where we can continue to be built in, where we can continue to practice. So practice does not make perfect. And so for everybody who's striving for perfection, for everyone who's chasing perfection, for everyone who is saying, you know what, I'm going after this thing and I'm trying and I have not met perfect yet. I want you to understand that perfect is always going to be before us. Perfect is always going to be before us. Let me rephrase. We cannot obtain perfection. We can strive for it. And we strive for it by completing our proficiencies. And at the highest level of proficient that we are, some would say, I understand it. Some would say, well, that's perfect. And others would say that's not. So this is how and why perfection actually is subjective. Because it may be perfect for me, to me. I am the eyes. My eyes is beholding this thing. And so it's perfect for me, but it's not perfect for you. Or it's perfect for you, and it's not perfect for me. Right? So I want you, and I want me, I want us to remove the pressure that comes with trying to be perfect. And practicing it and practicing it and practicing it for the sole purpose of striving for perfection and having the pressures. That's really what I'm talking about. Removing the pressures that's connected to the idea that you have to be perfect. Because you do not have to be perfect. Why? Because no one on the planet is perfect. That is the truth. The truth is no one on this planet is perfect. So take the pressure off. You don't have to be perfect. But you do have to strive for the highest level of proficiency. 95% is the highest level of proficiency for many of us. For many of us, 90% is the highest level of proficiency. It doesn't mean that it's perfect, but it means that it's good enough. Let me repeat that. It does not mean that it's perfect, but it does mean that it is good enough to be released. And then if you have to tweak it along the way, tweak it. But tweak it after you have placed it into the world. I encourage you to continue to strive. I encourage you to continue to go after all of the things that you want to go after. But go after it knowing that you don't have to be perfect. Allow your greatness to be revealed. Relax, relate, release. Relax, relate, and release it. Release the thing into the world so that we all can partake of your greatness. Because your greatness, even at 95%, is so much better when we all can observe it. So much better when we all can partake in it. So much better when we can all enjoy it, rather than you holding on to it because you're striving for 100%. So what does that mean? That means do not allow your inability to release a thing to prevent you from now on from doing a thing. Don't allow you saying I have to practice, and then you never go forth into the world. Practice, again, I must say, practice makes proficient. The higher in proficiency, the higher your gifting. The higher your gifting, the higher your ability. The higher your ability, the higher your proficiency. So when we look at the GOATs, we see many people on these high achievable outcomes and objectives. They have these high achievable abilities. But if you had the opportunity to interview any of them, I'm sure they would tell you and they would tell me, if they were honest, that there were still areas that they could have perfected. That there were still areas that they needed to be strengthened in. That there were still areas that they did not measure up in where we call perfect. You see how that it's a difference. And when you alter it just so slightly, and I'm not saying don't strive for the greatest version of yourself. Contrary, I want you to strive for the greatest version of yourself. But remove the pressure that says I have to be perfect. I am Leila Gordon. I am the Human Capital Midwife. I am your Human Capital Consultant. And I say, you do not have to be perfect while you're practicing. Practice and practice and practice, with the goal being the highest level of proficiency. I am Leila Gordon. I am the Human Capital Midwife. I am your Human Capital Consultant. And I leave with you this, that if money is the heartbeat of business, human capital is its blood supply. And if you're going to strive for anything, strive for it to the fullest and understand that you are reaching the highest level of proficiency, regardless to what that is. Until next time.